All right. We have, oh, we're good to go? Okay. Oh, that's, okay. You want to check yours?
Can you hear me? Yeah. How you doing? You good? Thank you for coming around.
Do you want to, that one has a microphone. Can you hear us? Oh, that's really loud. Thank you for making it loud.
Thank you. Thank you, Gary.
Can you hear us? Anyone? Yeah, that's what so that one or that one has to be turned on.
You ready, Mama? You got it ready?
Want to do cold water?
Huh?
Cold water?
Yeah. Is he turning this one on?
Thank you.
There you are. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Albany Community Police Review Board. Um, John Lewandowski, could you do the roll call?
Sure. Chairman Santos,
Here.
Vice Chair Lewandowski here, Secretary Emily, Dr. V,
Present.
Victor.
Present.
All right, and we have Batman is on his way. Paul, excuse me, Paul's on his way.
Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is the approval of the July 10th, 2025 meeting minutes. I am going to propose that those meeting minutes are not approved at this time. There seems to be several issues that were found regarding the meeting minutes.
And just an apology on that. The microphone was working great today. There was some things where I was inaudible. I'll go back and I'll check that. I'll adjust it. Apologies on that.
Perfect. Is everybody in agreement with not approving those minutes?
Agreed. Do we have a second?
Approved. Second.
All right. All in favor of holding off till next meeting for those minutes?
Aye. Perfect. Thank you. That's unanimous. So we're not going to approve the minutes for the July 10th, 2025 meeting. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone that would like to make a public comment? Was there anything? Okay, thank you. Rita Fulton?
Just a reminder, public meeting, everyone has 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Rita Fulton. I'm a 60-year-old woman with a chronic history of neck and low back pain. I've been permanently disabled because of my disability where I could not work, and I'm now on Social Security. I recently visited Albany Medical Center Hospital for treatment. Well, not so recent because this case is being heard almost a year later. This incident happened back on October the 24th, I believe. And I came for treatment at Albany Medical Center, which I suffer from chronic asthma. And I was treated nothing other than a patient. What they did to me, I thought was very, deg- I was, left on the curb. And the reason why they took and removed me from the hospital is because they said that, when I checked in, the lady that checked me in, I told her what my problem was, and she said, well, welcome, but it's gonna be 24 to 26 hours. I was like, wow, I said, welcome to Albany Med. I got this treatment because of the statement that I made. So the triage nurse got with the security guard, called the cops, and had me physically removed. I was dragged down Albany Medical Center Hill. I charged the cops for their brutality because we're not gonna, sit back and do this. I mean, we either can be a community, everybody's talking about, oh, let's have the cops involved. Well, let's really mean it. Okay, I was here a year and a half ago. My nephew was hit in the head with a steel bat, almost died. 30 days at a time, I was at his bedside. Every 30 days, I'm counting. And I wouldn't get any results because of you guys. You guys got to be firm on these people, especially our police officers that are taking advantage of us. You know what they told me? I don't have a complaint. While I'm getting calls to say, can we do another surgery? They're telling me, oh, well, if he doesn't make a complaint, we can't do nothing. So I want you to know, we've come a long way, but we still got a long way to go. Okay? I love my city of Albany. I came all the way back from Georgia. This is where I was born. My father ran Albany Medical Center for 30 years. And now we are at this point. People dying at Albany Medical Center. Albany Medical Center treating people 20. This is not the first time I got sick. My pancreas was affected. And I got left in the emergency room for 24 hours. They said, I'm so sorry when they got me back there. But let me tell you, we're failing. And the hospital is being given monies from the government because they're a teaching hospital. So where's our control? Get them out of here. We don't need Albany Med.
Ms. Fulton, thank you very much for your comments. Garrett, are there anyone online?
At this moment, anyone online wishes to make a statement? We have 3 minutes. You can raise your hand and Gary will let you in. Okay. All right.
Perfect, thank you. Communications from the city of Albany, Detective Lieutenant Riddy, would you like to speak?
Hello, everybody. So from the OPS, as far as new complaints that we've received 10 since the last meeting that we've had. Within that same time period, we have closed 5. So we got quite a few complaints this last week. So they're in the process of being assigned out. From the police department's end as well, I know I saw Chair Santos, you were out there, and if there's anyone else out there from the board, I apologize for not calling you out. And then several members from the community. But National Night Out that was held the other week, we were out there, myself and Commander Maury. Like I said, Chair Santos, I saw you out there as well. We had nice dialogue, and it was a very nice event. And then from the police department, we are currently processing for new police candidates. We're hoping to put an academy in November. So again, thank you everybody from the community to the members of the department to anyone else over at City Hall that's involved for the efforts to help us get staffed up. But that's all that I have for the OPS and the police department.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Detective Lieutenant Riddy?
Yes, Chair Santos. Lieutenant Riddy, will the board still be invited to meet the new recruits as we had in the past to do presentations?
I will link up with Commander Maury, but my understanding is that that's that's been what the past practice is, and we plan on sticking by that. So I don't see any issue with having any of that happen. But I'll have to link up with Commander Maury to get an answer as to the who, what, when, where, why type of answers for you, because that's more of her purview than mine. But again, I don't see any reason why that wouldn't continue.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Are there any board member announcements? Seeing none, we're going to have the report from the chair. Good evening, everyone. My name is Antoinette Santos, and I became the chair of the CPRB on June 18th of this year. I'd like to thank the CPR board and independent counsel, Michael Goldstein and Kevin Canizero, for all the support and guidance they provided me since the transition. The CPRB has been in the throes of transition since January of this year, but I have faith that if we remain calm, put our egos aside, and try to provide the best services to the community, we got to remember, we're all simply here to serve the community, that we can overcome these pains and prosper as an independent police oversight board. The work is not only needed, but imperative to the safety of the community. As many of you are aware, the CPRB held an emergency meeting on July 31st, which the full meeting could be viewed on YouTube. I'd like to thank, on behalf of the CPRB board, the following speakers who provided comment during the public comment section of the meeting. Thank you for your support, kind words, and acknowledgement of the importance of police oversight in our city. We're truly humbled by the acknowledgement for our important work. Tom Ellis, who is an Albany resident, Melanie Trimble, ACLU Regional Director, Zarina Jalal, owner of Lincoln Pharmacy and co-founder of the Muslim Advocacy Coalition, Merton Simpson, Albany County Legislator for District 2, Tashawn Murdoch, the Executive Director of the the Center for Law and Justice. And last but definitely not least, we received letters of support from Mark Mishler, attorney at law and outside counsel for the CPRB, and Dr. Leslie Myers Small, the Executive Director of the City of Rochester Police Accountability Board. Once again, we're honored by your support. I'd like to remind the community members that Albany Common Council will be holding a meeting this Monday, August 18th at 5:30 here at City Hall. The CPRB is hoping, the will of the CPRB is expressed at the will of the CPRB that was expressed at the July 31st emergency meeting will be addressed and implemented. The board raised concerns about the statutory independence because their outside counsel was removed by the city during active litigation. The importance of our outside counsel cannot be overstated given that APD officers refused to provide testimony at a June CPRB interview, compelled by subpoena. To date, the city has failed to honor this agreement with outside counsel against CPRB's expressed wishes. Our independence remains threatened, and we need to make sure that the community shows up on Monday to ensure that Common Council is held accountable and answers to the community for their conduct. Now I'd like to introduce board member Dr. Hardin for additional words from the board.
Thank you, Chair Santos. I echo your sentiments regarding the importance of the community to remain engaged with the CPRB and Common Council. The CPRB is in the middle of transition from the law school where it's been for over 20 years, and now we're under the city. This transition hasn't been easy, but collaboration and communication and trust is where we need to begin. The city has allowed us as public servants to come in and serve and speak as a duty and an honor, and we must uphold that. So we're asking the community, as you've already heard from Chair Santos, to stay engaged with not only the CPRB, but to also show up on Monday to the Common Council meeting, um, to make your voices heard and ensure that the will of the board continues to move forward in the way in which the people have voted. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Harden. Now we're going to go on to committee reports. The first one is bylaws and rules, of which I'm the chair for that. We have no revisions to the bylaws and rules at this time. Community outreach, we will have to come back to. Investigations.
Hello, yes, since we have so many cases today, 9 today, and we had 8 cases reviewed last meeting, we're going to forego this way to respect the time of the complainants and get to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Harden, any news for mediation?
No new updates for mediation. Our mediators remain ready and willing and looking forward to cases appropriate to use for mediation. We're excited to use that as a tool, and as we move forward through our caseload, I'm hopeful that we will be able to see how mediation can really help resolve cases in a meaningful way.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Harden. Police Department liaison.
Yeah, we're restarting our meetings with Police Department Liaison. One thing that I spoke with and I'm working on a reply for with the help of Lieutenant Riddy is the status of the discipline matrix that we worked in collaboration with the department to create. We're waiting for finalization, and it's been well over a year now. So we're looking, especially with the new chief, to review that. And if there's anything we could do to help that process, we're here. Thank you.
Thank you. And public official liaison, is there, I don't think, yeah.
We will be, we're working on getting, restarting those meetings shortly.
Perfect. Onward to old business. Is there any old business that needs to be spoken of by any members?
Not at
Seeing-
this time.
I didn't, no, you're good. Seeing none, new business, consideration of subpoenas. Julie Schwartz, are you on?
Good evening. So there's a couple things. As you know, we have been in the process of litigation. There's a couple suits that have are pending. They're on appeal. But in the interim, we have been able to finally move forward. This year, we were able to do 15 interviews of police officers. One case I can't just, because it's still in the middle of litigation, the court has ruled that we could go forward on it, but it needs to remain confidential. We've interviewed 2 officers on that case last month. And as a result of that interview, we learned we need to interview another officer. So I'm requesting that a subpoena be issued for that officer on that confidential matter.
I make a motion that we issue a subpoena on the confidential matter regarding this case. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Unanimous, present? All right, Julie, thank you. Next.
Yes. So there's another case, was actually one of the first cases that we were assigned, and we have not been able to move forward on it because there was a protective order issued under it was under District Attorney Suarez. Now there's a new district attorney. So we're hoping that maybe we will have an opportunity to look at this case. Involves an officer involved shooting on June 20th. We are requesting a subpoena for the case file.
I'm making a motion that we subpoena the case files regarding to the case of June 20th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right. 4 abstentions? Favor, all right, all unanimous in favor. All right, moving on to correspondence with the chief. Would you like to go with that? Julie?
Want me to do that too?
If that's okay, yeah, just to give the context.
Okay. So as the chair mentioned, we have been interviewing officers. We've gone to court to get the right to do that. It's still up on our appeal, but we have been moving forward. Last June 24th, we interviewed 3 officers involving an officer involved shooting from January 5th, 2025. When we interviewed those officers, each one of them took the Fifth Amendment. So while they answered some basic questions regarding their name, tours, etc., they refused to answer any questions involving the incident, and they claimed it was a Fifth Amendment right. That was both the officer who was the shooter, as well as the 2 officers who were there on the scene. So there are more officers to interview, but since this happened and they weren't cooperating, we have not made a request to interview the rest of them. However, we are asking that the board write a letter to Chief Cox and ask that the officers be disciplined for refusing to cooperate with a legal investigation. There's no issue regarding the subpoenas. They were lawfully subpoenaed. They acknowledged that when they came in. And so their refusal to testify despite lawful subpoenas in administrative context constitutes non-cooperation with a civilian oversight body. Therefore, this undermines the board's statutory purpose and violates the spirit of transparency embedded in local law D. And it violates some of the APD's rules, general orders, including the rules of conduct, where they are to cooperate. It's also they're to conform with laws. When they report for duty, they must cooperate. It's on there's some other objects, some other general orders that may fall in. So I'm asking that a letter be sent to Chief Cox explaining the situation and explaining what happened, and ask that he look into disciplining these officers for their failure to cooperate.
A motion
Are there any questions? Does anyone have any questions regarding the process right now? No.
right.
Julie, can you tell us if this is the first time that we are, since we've been given subpoena power, that we are in the throes of this kind of decision?
So of the other 15, so I guess it would be, so these are 3. So of the other 12 interviews that we have done, the officers that were at the rank of police officer or detective have cooperated, but their counsel has put something on the record that they don't believe we have the right to do this, and they give a whole speech, but they have cooperated. That's, I guess, going to be decided up on appeal. And it all involves whether we have the right to give them what's called garrity warnings. That's what OPS does when they interview them. And anyone in a workplace setting, if they're compelled to answer questions, those statements can't be used against them criminally. And we tell them that, that we have no intention of ever doing that. And then their counsel would say, well, we don't have the right to do it, but we say, well, we're not going to do it. And so basically, then there's no DA who's ever going to prosecute them criminally, because we've already given them, we're saying we're not going to do it. So, but this is the first time that they've refused to answer citing the Fifth Amendment. So while they keep discussing our ability not to do it and making this record for appeal, this is the first time they outright refuse to do it. And I also would add that while there may be an argument that the shooter has a Fifth Amendment right, the other officers who were there and just responded to the call, there should be no Fifth Amendment right. And we indicated that we, were not going to use their statements against them criminally, nor would we ever provide them to a law enforcement agency.
Great, thank you.
Any questions? I'm making a motion to consider to write a bit of correspondence to the chief with regards to this situation. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous?
Great. Thank you, Julie. Was there anything else you needed to add?
No, unless anyone has any questions for me, I'll just sit back and listen.
Thank you,
Yep,
Julie.
good, thank you. We're going to go on to reviewing complaints. The first one up will be CC 2021-014, board member person.
Board member Victor Person, case number 21. Thanks. Okay, I got it. Thank you. Case number CC 2021-014, date received 5/19/2021. OPS detective assigned Detective T. Allen. The complaint was submitted by online complaint form. Date and time was 5/5/2021, 19:28 hours. Date of the incident was 400 Madison Avenue, Albany, New York. Allegation of misconduct of call handling and conduct standard. The background on this case was on April 4th, 2023, Detective Allen was assigned to complaint who reported the complainant of the Office of Professional Standards on May 19th, 2021. Unknown male complaint stated she phoned the Albany Police Department in reference to an unknown male threatening her children, property, and herself. The complaint further stated minors was threatening her and tampering with her vehicle. Complaint alleged APD officer refused to review evidence of male threatening her children and her personal property and herself. Complaint also alleged officer refused to take actions against the minor who was allegedly smoking and drinking liquor. The complaint alleged the officers was taunting her and laughing at the situation and herself. Complaint alleged officer left without notice prior to completing the call. The complaint alleged she left several phone messages at the police station. No calls were returned by the police station. The summary of this incident. Office responded to the complaint call after the third time she called. The call sheet indicated that the call was only assigned after the third time the complainant had called. The officer responded and took a report relating to the complaint concern. The BWC footage shows that the officer who met the complaint was professional and respectful. The report was filed related to the incident as part of the OPS case material. Summary of this was the first call handling concurred with OPS finding of unsustained. For the first call of the call handling, I concur with the OPS findings as unsustained. For the first count of call conduct standard, I concur with the OPS finding as unsustained. However, I do recommend the individual who answered the phone be retrained in taking calls and sending out jobs to patrol units. This would prevent further delays in patrolling and receiving calls. This training should emphasize the importance of accurate and timely response. I'm sorry. I do recommend the individual to answer the phone to be retrieved on taking calls, retrained on taking calls and sending out jobs to patrol unit. This would prevent further delays in patrol receiving calls. This training should also emphasize the importance of accurate and timely response to all calls for services, ensuring effective response, and also promote better communication between the department and citizens.
Is the complaint for CC 2021-014 present? If you want, you can make a statement. You don't have to say your name. Okay. All right. Any questions from the board? Okay. You ready? So, I'll pull up right here. All right. So, we have concurring with the report of unsustained for call handling, as well as unsustained for conduct standards, and another one for call handling. We are finding that we concur with OPS's report. We have a recommendation of some prone training for the individual who took the phone call. Do I have a second for this motion to accept Victor's report?
Second.
Can I get a vote? Unanimous. Thank you very much, Victor. We'll move on to our next report, which is CC 2022-028, and that is Board Member Soap and Santos. Officer Dixon will review.
Okay, this is case number CC 2022-028. This complaint was received September 15th, 2022, and the complaint was received via the Cprb. The detective assigned initially was Detective Dixon, and then became Detective Burns. A synopsis of the complaint. The complainant alleges that the police came to her home twice in one evening. The second time, they gave her paperwork that did not have her name on it or a judge's seal. And the complainant alleges that the police searched her home, tore her home apart, and knocked over an urn containing her friend's ashes. OPS's findings were that it be an allegation of call handling not sustained, where the review fails to disclose sufficient facts to prove or disprove the allegations that were made in the complaint. Chair Santos and I reviewed documentation pertaining to this, and what we found was that a warrant was in fact issued, and that upon first contact, the officers were allowed entry, but after finding nothing, APD staff left and returned a second time. At the second contact, the complainant alleges she was handed a paper which did not contain her name or a judge's seal on it. We did review that a warrant did exist. Unfortunately, we were unable to substantiate, or there was no evidence that could prove that the apartment was ransacked, to validate that the cremains were upturned, the destruction of personal items. What we did find was that there seems to be a disparity between a standing order to turn off body-worn cameras. That standing order seems to have originated with Chief Hawkins, and is cited in sworn testimony, that body-worn cameras, the detectives do not need to activate their body-worn cameras during a search warrant in order to maintain tactics or preserve confidential case details. However, General Order number 3.2.15, let me just find this here. Section 2C reads, all detectives and officers assigned to plainclothes patrols, including personnel assigned to DART, shall be required to utilize body-worn cameras while engaging in pre-planned interdiction activities, including search warrants. So while we concur with APD that it is not sustained because there isn't body-worn camera footage to substantiate the allegation, we would recommend that clarification take place surrounding the dissonance between what appears to be a standing order issued by Chief Hawkins and general order, the general order just previously mentioned.
All right, I just want to comment to that too. I have a case that's exactly similar with regards to that standing order, and we reviewed the same material. Speaking to Lieutenant Riddy, currently there is in the works codifying that within the general orders written down, and they're currently working on that. I made the same note and noted the importance and disparity of this, but citing the similar court testimony, came to the same conclusion for my case. Lieutenant Riddy, could you just come on and explain the process that you're working on to codify this with regards to the disparity between the general order and the standing order?
Yes, 1 second. I'm just trying to get my camera to work here. Okay, so yeah, so with the testimony we received, we knew it was along the lines of standing order, but it was codified in the court testimony. So what we're working on right now, specifically with Commander Maury, with the she's trying to work hand in hand with the detective's office, the chief's office, and the training unit to try to get verbiage down that would codify a more, I guess, not as dissonant order. So that way it would be known. So that way the CPRB and the community can see that there is an order in relation to it, and whether it is to have cameras on at a certain point, off at another point, or whatever have you, whatever the final result of that is, to at least have that order in writing, so it is known and not one of these kind of backdoor, open for interpretation deals. So going back to it right now, the commander is in works with the chief's office, the training unit, and the detectives unit to try to get that verbiage worked out.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
So Detective Lieutenant Riddy, when the language and everything is completed, can we have a report given to the CPRB so that we can make an announcement to the community regarding search warrants and body worn camera?
Are you asking for like an official like memorandum or something like that? Or are you requesting that when the new general order is signed and published, that you guys get a copy of that?
No, if you could just update the community regarding what they can expect when a search warrant is being executed, that would be great. You know, I don't think that we're looking for anything official. I think we just want to make sure that the community knows if the body worn cameras are supposed to remain on, that they are going to remain on for the, you know, for the entirety of a search warrant, or what the process is.
Also, I think, I think part of it too is like we could help communicate that effectively to some of our communities when that comes out. As part of, I think, what Chair Santos is saying as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't see any problem with that in some level of communication, whether it be, I mean, when we have our liaison meetings or investigation meetings, if I see that it's coming down the pipe, I will, I'll communicate it, and then I can communicate it on one of these on our monthly meetings or what have you, to get the official notice out that the policy is changed. So yeah, I don't. There shouldn't be any problem with communicating that.
Great, thank you.
Is the complainant present for CC 2022-028? Any questions further questions from the board? All right. We'll go through, since we're supporting all the findings, so we'll go through it as a whole case. Call handle for CC 2022-028, we're concurring with the call handling as allegation of call handling as finding of not sustained. The second charge of call handling, and these charges for each individual officer and detective that was there. We're also putting not sustained for the third count of coal handling not sustained, the fourth coal handling not sustained, the fifth handling not sustained, the sixth coal handling not sustained, the seventh coal handling not sustained, and the eighth coal handling not sustained for these officers with regards to the evidence that we saw with the court testimony. All in favor of this finding? Oh, excuse me, a motion for the, to take these findings. Can I get a second?
Make a motion.
I make a second for the motion. Can I get our hands down? All in favor? I'm sorry. I made the second, no, it's fine. We went back and forth there. Victor, you're good? Yes. Okay, so unanimous. Okay,
The next one is CC 2024-006, and that's my complaint. The detective assigned to this complaint was Detective Stiles. It was received via email on 2/4/2024 at 9:08 p.m. is the date and time of the incident. And the incident occurred on Hackett Boulevard and the cross street of Sycamore Street. There were 3 officers named, and the allegations of misconduct are use of force, forceful throwing of a traffic ticket, call handling, discourtesy, call handling, inadequate training and poor judgment, and call handling, transparency and accountability. The summary of the incident is on 02/04/24, the complainant was stopped by an officer after being observed driving her vehicle with vehicle void of headlights on Hackett Boulevard near Sycamore Street at approximately 9:08 p.m. Upon realizing the lights were off, the complainant alleges the officer immediately used excessive force when throwing a traffic summons at a black female. And that's the complainant's self-description. The officer is alleged to have had poor judgment, an attitude, lack of transparency and accountability, and it's alleged that he was inadequately trained. So I reviewed the body-worn camera, and at 11 minutes and 12 seconds, the officer reproached the complainant's vehicle, returning her license and registration, and explained to the complainant that she received a traffic citation for failing to use her headlights. The officer began describing how to plead, where the forms could be processed. During his explanation, the complainant interjected and was told by the officer that he would answer questions when he finished explaining the process. When the officer finished explaining, the complainant then asked if she was receiving a ticket, and the officer explained that he hadn't known how long the complainant was driving without headlights, and that she can explain her case in court. At 12:07 on the body-worn camera, the officer held the forms outstretched to the complainant to grab. These forms were leaning slightly on the door ledge. At 12:15 on the body-worn camera, the officer released his grip on the forms, and the forms actually fell into the vehicle as the complainant did not move her hands to reach for the forms. The complainant then stated, "You didn't have to throw them at me." And the officer responded, "I was holding it there because you didn't grab it. Goodbye." And he returned to his patrol vehicle. There was another officer that was on the passenger side of the vehicle, and his body-worn camera footage indicated the same. On 02/20/24, the complainant and Detective Stiles spoke regarding this complaint. The complainant wished for the complaint to be addressed by Officer McGee's immediate supervisor, and the complainant was advised she must complete a complaint withdrawal form. On 3/16/24, Sergeant Adams submitted a supervisor's inquiry report. The report indicated he spoke with the complainant, who stated she was upset about receiving the ticket, and she felt that it was thrown at her, and she was seeking apology for these actions. Sergeant Adams' findings were as follows. Use of force, excessive force, unfounded. Sergeant Adams summarized it as follows. In an effort to de-escalate the situation, the officer dropped the ticket and walked away. These actions were appropriate and to avoid further confrontation. The second, call handling discourtesy was unfounded. Officer McGee was found to be professional throughout his encounter. The third charge, for call handling, inadequate training, and poor judgment. Sergeant Adams believed the officer made sound judgment regarding this complaint, as Officer McGee observed the complainant did not have the vehicle headlights on. The cited violation was New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law 3752A equipment. And for the fourth charge of call handling, transparency, and accountability, it was cited as unfounded. This encounter was captured through body-worn camera, the officer's accounts during the interviews, and the complainant's video provided. On 6/25/24, Officer McGee was interviewed by OPS. McGee stated the complainant refused to grab the ticket from his outstretched hands, and he placed the ticket on the windowsill of the complainant's car where it had fallen onto her lap. McGee stated he was not unprofessional when engaging with the complainant. So the findings are, Officer Stiles assessed the allegation of use of force, the throwing of a traffic ticket, as unfounded, where the review shows the acts complained about did not occur or were misconstrued. I concur with these findings. The body-worn camera showed that the complainant did not grab the ticket from the outstretched hands of the officer, as it was left on the windowsill and fell onto her lap, because the ticket was placed on the windowsill. As to the allegation of call handling discourtesy, the findings as cited were unfounded, where the review shows the acts complained did not occur or were misconstrued. The body-worn camera footage and OPS interview proved Officer McGee remained calm during this interaction with the complainant. I concur with these findings. As to the allegation call handling, inadequate training, and poor judgment, the findings are cited as exonerated, where the acts which proved the basis for the complaint occurred, but the review shows the acts were proper. After review of the body-worn camera and interviews, it was determined that Officer McGee had the legal right to conduct a traffic stop on a complainant for driving with no headlights on after dark. Officer McGee followed New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law 3752A, no headlights, inclement weather, which states every motor vehicle except for a motorcycle driven upon a public highway during a period of 1/2 hour after sunset and 1/2 hour before sunset, or any time after, when windshield wipers are in use as a result of rain, sleet, snow, and hail, or other unfavorable atmospheric conditions, and at such times of visibility of distance of 1,000 feet, such motor vehicle is not clear, should display headlights. Officer McGee pulled the complainant over at approximately 9:07 p.m. and after observing her vehicle being operated without headlights, sunset on that day was approximately 5:12 p.m. and Hackett Boulevard is a public road.
Is the complainant for CC 2024-006 present? Okay, is there any questions from the board? All right, I'll read out the allegations and the findings and we'll vote on that. We'll do it in unison since it seems to corroborate. Use of force, finding unfounded. Call handling, discourtesy, finding unfounded. Call handling for transparency, unfounded. Call handling, inadequate training, exonerated. I make a motion that we accept the findings of this report. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. V. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Thank you. Next one is Ms. Santos again. It's CC 2024-032. Ms. Santos is the board member. Detective Burns is the detective.
Okay. As John stated, this is CC 2024-032. The date received by the CPRB was on 7/30/24. The detective assigned is Hillary Burns, and it was an online submission form. The date of the incident was 7/1/2024. There were 2 officers and a sergeant involved in this allegation, and the allegation of misconduct is call handling. The background of this is the complainant claimed he did not receive consent, no, he did not give consent for his vehicle to be searched. Subsequently, because of the search of his vehicle, the officers caused damage to the interior console area. Officer Hyde was interviewed on 9/30/24 by PBA Counsel Silva, PBA President Delano, Detective Burns, and Detective Stiles. Hyde was employed at that time with APD for 6 years. The duration of the interview was 6 minutes and 56 seconds. Officer Hyde stated he was driving north on Lexington Avenue, approaching Clinton Avenue, when he noticed behind him 2 vehicles that approached his vehicle from the rear, driving past a stop sign. Hyde further noticed the vehicle furthest away from him, which was the complainant's vehicle, the driver placing the vehicle in park, removing himself from the vehicle, and approaching the other vehicle directly in front of him, which was directly behind patrol vehicle. That sounds crazy. Hyde believed he had an unknown object in his hands. Hyde continued stating that when the traffic light turned green, the vehicle in front of the complainant's vehicle is observed going around Hyde's vehicle very quickly to the left, making the patrol vehicle visible, and the complainant then immediately returned to his vehicle upon noticing that there was a patrol vehicle in the area. Hyde stated he immediately returned to the vehicle, placed his patrol lights on, and stopped the movement of the complainant, as he believed the complainant may have been in possession of a weapon. Detective Johnson was phoned to view the CCTV street cameras and concurred that there was strange activity that the complainant was involved with this other vehicle. The area supervisor was advised of what had occurred, including the fact that the complainant refused to submit to a vehicle search. The complainant was issued a traffic summons, and subsequently, as a result, the vehicle was towed. The vehicle was searched, and all contents were itemized by Officer Hyde. No weapon was found during the search. Hyde stated he did remove a panel from the front console area of the vehicle due to the fact that the area appeared to have been manipulated, but that the piece popped back into position. And when asked if he observed any damage to the vehicle, stated there was no damage noted. The body-worn camera footage of this officer's notes corroborates with his testimony. The complainant was placed in the backseat of Hyde's patrol vehicle, and the complainant's vehicle was then processed to be towed, thus subject to a full vehicle inventory per General Order 3.4.30 Vehicle Towing Procedures. And it's Section 3 Vehicle Inventory A. Vehicles towed by the department shall be inventoried based on the following: to protect the owner or occupant's property while in the custody, to protect police towing and impound agency from false claims, and to guard police towing or impound agency from danger. This writer phoned the complainant with the number on file on the following dates: 2/11/25 at 9:40 a.m., 2/12/25 at 12:05 p.m., and 2/21/25 at 9:04 a.m., providing a callback phone number. To date, the complainant had not responded. The intent of this writer's follow-up interview was to request proof of damages and follow-up questions. CPRB board findings are: OPS investigator found as to the allegation call handling exonerated, and that states the acts proved the basis for the complaint occurred, but the review shows the acts were proper. After careful review of the case file contents, I concur with these findings. This case appears to have been investigated thoroughly. That's the only.
Okay. For CC 2024-032, is a complainant present? Okay. Is there any questions from the board? All right, with the sole allegation of call handling, I find the finding exonerated. Do I have a second for this motion?
Second.
Dr. V, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Our next case is CC 2024-046. That's Board Member Collins Hackett and Detective Burns.
As John stated, it's case number CC 2024-046. This was actually received November 8th, 2024. It was received via Office of Professional Standards. Detective Burns was assigned. The location of the incident was 43 New Scotland Ave, also known as Albany Medical Center. The type of complaint was use of force and conduct standards. And the time of the incident was October 29th, 2024 at about 1 o'clock in the morning. The synopsis of the allegation is Ms. Fulton alleges officers were aggressive and disrespectful. Upon review of the case, I did not find anything to concur with that. What happened was she was at the hospital. Hospital asked her to leave. There was a back and forth. She didn't want to. Hospital called, asked police to remove her. During that process, she was escorted off of the property. She did fall at one point in time, and the focus of her complaint was that this fall was due to the officers who pushed her onto the ground. And reviewing the body-worn camera footage from both officers, it very much was that Ms. Fulton actually threw herself onto the ground. Her complaint also alleged that she was called names and disrespected the entire time. Again, I found the opposite, that the officers were actually incredibly patient throughout the process and treated her with respect at times where it may be difficult to do so. So their preliminary findings were that the use of force allegation was unfounded, where the review shows that the acts or acts complained about did not occur and was misconstrued. The other was conduct standards that they found unfounded, where the review shows that the acts or complaints did not occur or was misconstrued. And I'm inclined to agree with those findings because, again, the body-worn camera footage and everything that I reviewed did not show evidence of those things. So if any questions or anything else, but I move to accept their findings on those grounds.
Would the complainant for CC 20, complainant for CC 2024-046 like to say anything? Okay. Citing that, any questions from the board?
One question. Batman, did you speak to the complainant? Were you able to speak?
No, there were multiple body-worn camera footage angles of the entire incident from their time arriving on the scene, which also included conversations with staff from the hospital that talked about her behavior. And she was clearly audible and visible through the entire time on all the body cam footage. And it was very straightforward.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we have a finding of use of force as unfounded and also a finding of conduct standards as unfounded. Do I have a motion to accept I'm making a motion to accept these. Second, please.
Second.
All right, I got Ms. Santos for the second. All in favor?
Oh.
All right. Very good. Moving on to the next case, that would be mine. This is CC 2024-048. Background investigation. This would. Oh, we got the background. Excuse me. This happened on July 11th, 2023 at 11:55 hours on Clinton Avenue. Multiple detectives involved. The background for this is complaint alleges police violated police policy by turning off their cameras or executing a search warrant. The summary is at 11:55 hours on July 11th, 2023, detectives executed a search warrant in an incident regarding the above address. The detective initially executed the warrant with body cameras on. That's the point where they're coming in with their guns and stuff like that. When the officer initiated their search, portions of for portions of the warrant, they turned off their cameras. They turned the cameras off between the officers. They turned the cameras off or on at various points during this search. This action by all detectives was initially presented as a violation of the general order, but supplemental evidence related to this specific case was furnished by OPS. Court documents containing sworn statements provided evidence of an unwritten standing order, which allows for detectives to be allowed to turn off the body worn cameras when searching directly. And this was in the order, which enabled detectives to switch off their camera. According to the court documents, it was indicated that the lieutenant gave the order enabling the officers to take off the body worn cameras. The evidence of the standing order comes from sworn statements from the police chief at the time. The chief stated that detectives were allowed to turn off their body worn cameras in certain circumstances during a search. The chief stated that this case was, justification was privacy and concealing police tactics. Though I'm not faulting the officers for following the standing order related to the charges, I do fault the department for not having this codified in a written way. Again, this is not on the officers, but it is a concern that we brought up in our last case. The need for a standing order to put in writing as an amendment in the general order is pretty clear from this case and the one that I saw. Such directives without articulated in public guidelines nor standardized documentation for when the implementation opens opens up the department and officers of the following standing order for scrutiny. In other less documented cases, it may leave officers vulnerable for speculation and endanger the prosecution they're trying to execute. Also, most fundamentally, it works against the earning the trust of the community that the officers, plain clothes officers, are interacting with. So I concur with OPS's finding of unfounded. Okay, I concur with OPS's finding of unfounded. But again, like our last case, would like the department to follow up and talking to Lieutenant Reddy that are doing that presently. I make a motion to support the findings of unfounded. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Oh, excuse me, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I switched the whole thing. It was a complainant for CC 2024-048 present. Would you like to, you don't have to give your name, sir, but if you'd like to speak, you may.
I can go.
Go ahead.
So I just wanted to address, when I made this complaint, it was what you mentioned, but it was also the fact that they had, they didn't do no evidentiary, they didn't take evidentiary evidence in this case at all. They didn't, they found a weapon, they didn't properly bag it, they didn't call forensic, they didn't do anything right. They didn't take DNA on anything they found and charged me with, and none of this is mentioned. I don't understand why.
Thank you. With regards to the complaint was for the body worn camera stuff. Related to the court case, we don't really have the ability to question a court's findings. That's an issue with the district attorney with regards to that. So we can talk about, excuse me, with regards. All right, excuse me. First of all, you're not coming up without, 1 second, please, sir. 1 second, sir. All right, our process is not to litigate a court hearing in this venue.
I don't understand what you're saying, really. The sound system here is terrible. Missing most of what you're saying. Can I get a copy of that report?
We'll furnish reports. Yes.
The board should understand, Mr. Gaston went to trial twice, 2 separate felony charges. He was found not guilty, both of those cases. I, being the chief of police of the city of Albany, because the order that exists says that body worn cameras are worn at all times, including surgicals. That's in the order.
General orders, yes.
Your case has something to do with that. And the community response unit has their own rules. You ought to look into that when you further review this case. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, like I said, with regards to the actual case of your investigation, the report we had stated the use of body-worn cameras. We've talked about the evidence that we presented with regards to the statement by the chief.
Do you have my actual complaint?
Yes, we do.
So why didn't you just read it? My complaint is not just about body worn cameras.
I understand that we're also not hashing out litigation.
It's not,
If you're, like your attorney just stated, if your concern was the policy that is inconsistent, then that's what,
is that not misconduct that the police didn't do what they were supposed to do? Still charged me. They took me out the room, turned their body cameras off, and then found things that I had no knowledge of. It is no transparency there.
and yes, I agree that the policy is flawed with the standing order and it needs to be corrected, and that's what we're stating here. But with regards to the actions by the police from their standing order and general orders, we're only talking about policy, not your specific criminal case.
But are we only talking about policy, or are we talking about my complaint?
Your complaint was regard to policy.
My complaint was that they did not take evidence when they arrested me. When they found things and charged me with it, they're supposed to do step-by-step forensics. They did not take no DNA. I submitted to a DNA test, could have got me way less than 2 trials, you know? And they didn't do that.
If there's an issue that you want to civil litigate with the department, or if you want to reach out to Lemio at the State Attorney General's office, that would be the area for that.
So that complaint, that part of the complaint is not for the Albany Community Police Review Board.
The part of the complaint you're talking about, we're not opening an investigation that was closed by the court.
I'm not asking you to open it back up. This is facts that's in the already closed case. They did not take no evidence. They took the gun and put it in a bag, and they later forensic told them the accurate steps that somebody was supposed to hold the evidential value of the evidence. They step by step, they didn't do none of it. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. Lieutenant, could you comment a bit more with regards to what your detectives looked at for their investigation, what we reviewed? It might clarify, if you're able.
Sure. So the complaint that was lodged, if I'm not mistaken, was specific to the body cams, which were turned off during the execution of the search warrant. I'm just looking it over right now. Yes, so body-worn cameras were turned off right before searching the premises. My main concern is that the lack of transparency and accountability. The later part of it says investigating officers collected evidence, also neglecting the policy in which evidence should be collected, not take DNA or forensics. So our purview of investigation will not be that is held within the criminal court. Our purview of investigation will be that of misconduct or violation of policy. So with that, the main issue that came in was the allegation of misconduct for turning off the body cams. The improper handling of evidence is something that will be hashed out in the criminal end of the court. If there is a mishandling of evidence, or if something was not taken, or the courts find it, whether it be facially insufficient or whatever have you, that would be a criminal court proceeding. That is something that we're not going to get involved with because, again, that is in the criminal realm, criminal vein of things. If there's something that blows back that might come from that, it would probably just wind up being a training thing rather than a misconduct thing. Because if there was a misconduct thing, there would have been something with the court that said that these officers' credibility is now tainted, which there is no indication of such. So our investigation was limited to that of the body cam, which was from the testimony of the chief when he was up there on, I don't know if it was direct across or what was going on, but when he was up there and offered his testimony, that he offered that there are certain circumstances in which the body cam would be turned off. As such, due to that standing order that they have, that led to the findings of OPS being with, I don't recall if it was unfounded or exonerated, but basically with that standing order, that is what our findings came to. Again, we will not touch something from the criminal realm if it does not relate to misconduct, which would be something found by the court where the credibility of the officer is tainted. Again, if the court finds something improper or whatnot, that is what the criminal court proceedings are for. That is what all the hearings are for, the suppression hearings and so forth. That is the proper venue for those things being heard and adjudicated.
Detective Lieutenant Reddy, is there a paper you could provide to the CPRB? Because this is not the first time we referred to retired Chief Hawkins putting out some kind of order, and we have like this blanket. We don't know what we're making decisions on because we haven't seen this order. So, in this case, this gentleman is making an allegation that they didn't, they turned off the body-worn camera and the process wasn't completed correctly. But, when board member Sowick, she also had an issue with the body-worn camera at a different time. It just seems to us that it's pretty prevalent that the body-worn cameras are being turned off at various times, and we're not, I think we're missing the point that the community's complaining and saying, are they supposed to remain on for the whole time, or who's making the decision that they could be turned off? And I think that's where we're getting
And the general order states that they should be on.
Yeah, so I'm just curious if Chief Hawkins put anything on paper that can give us a little more assistance while he was in.
I can't, I mean, if we had something outside of this testimony, we would have brought it in for the other several complaints that we've received in relation to this. This was found as a result of a subsequent follow-up conversation, I believe, with Mr. Gaskin, where he explained that the chief came and testified at his trial. That's what led us to pull the court testimony and find the findings of the chief's direct order that it was permitted to turn them off in various circumstances to preserve tactics and privacy. So that is what was cited. So that's the only direct thing that we have in relation to that. Now, again, I don't know if that was a conversation that was had with the head of the detectives division at the time and the chief. I'm unsure. I'm not privy to those conversations. All I can say is that with the actual court stenographer's notes from the trial, that is what we have, and that is what we were basing our findings on. Because otherwise, again, it would have been one of those things where we would have come down to a violation of policy on body cam. But since we had that in hand, that is why we came to our findings. But again, like I also don't want to skew away from the movement forward. Like I said, when this court testimony was found and we found that order, again, it was not a written general order. It was a direct order from the chief, indicating that they can be turned off in those various things, in those various moments. I don't want to negate the fact that when that happened, that when it came to the commander's attention, we moved to try to start actually putting it into policy. So that is something that we are working on. I don't want to negate that fact. It's just at the time of the complaint and what we're given at this very moment, that is from the court stenographer's notes. And I believe those notes were provided in the case file that I believe was provided to CPRB. So there should be those certified notes within that case file.
Detective Riddy, we've had situations where, given the context of the situation, the sequence of events, that additional actions are triggered and expected from officers. We had an unresponsive individual, and we said, okay, once that happens, it should be treated as X, Y, and Z, and this is the protocol moving forward. So my question for this is there a general order as it pertains to evidence handling and evidence collection with firearms? That's just a general question. I'm not.
Yes, there is.
Yes.
Okay, and what's that general order?
Again, with that not being part of the purview of the investigation, I don't have that handy right now. Again, if this is something where we want to table it and I can try to pull all that information up, because again, it's very lengthy as far as how it is input into the systems, how it is then properly preserved with whatever means we're going to preserve it as, and then how it gets turned over to the courts. So it's kind of a lengthy thing. And again, with that not being the purview of the investigation, I don't have that at my fingertips to answer that question in its totality at this moment.
Okay, I appreciate it. I understand, we're not able to litigate every single minute aspect of every situation, but I think if we have a general order to examine and see, if officers adhere to that policy, that would give us something to move forward on. So thank you for that.
I have one more question for you. You said that that direct order from Chief Hawkins didn't come about like presently known until you reviewed my case after Chief Hawkins came and testified on my trial? Or was that direct order known to the community and everybody else that that's what they do when they search?
Nope, it was, again, it wouldn't have been one of those things since it's not codified in the general orders. It wouldn't have been known by the public or anything along those lines. That was found when we were investigating your complaint. If I'm not mistaken, Detective Stiles made contact, and it was learned that Chief Hawkins testified at the trial. That's where we pulled the courtroom testimony from.
Okay. I'd just like to say for the community, in the future, you guys need to really focus on proper conduct when it comes to all aspects of arrest. You can't skip one step because it leaves unanswered question. You have to go by your protocol every time, by the book. That's what police are supposed to do. And when you don't, it causes situations where people that are innocent could possibly spend a lot of time in jail. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much for that. All right, do we have further questions from the board with regards to this complaint? All right. With regards to the motion of to be consistent with our could be consistent with our further rulings, and to stress the point that we cannot unfortunately hash out cases that were taken up by the court system. I'm still moving to upheld the motion of exoneration in concurrence with the findings related to the policies. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? One abstention and five yeas. All right, the next one's mine as well. Can everyone hear me okay? All right. This is CC 2024-050. This occurred on November 24th, 2024, 13:03 hours at a bus stop in Central Ave. The allegations of misconduct are use of force, call handling, and conduct standards. Complainant alleges that the officer started yelling at him for not having his bike helmet. The complainant also alleges that the officer said that he would fuck me up and that he was 100 pounds and he could really hurt the complainant. The complainant further alleges that the officer shoved him, causing him and his bike to fall to the ground, causing the bike chain to pop off, and denting the complainant's bicycle. The complainant also alleges that he told the officer that he needed an ambulance because his neck and shoulders back, neck, and shoulders hurt him, and the officer shoved him into the police car and left. All right. Approximately at 13:03 hours on November 24th, 2024, target officer was on patrol on Central Avenue. The officer asked, attending to a noise complaint at a bus stop. The officer asked the complainant if he had his bike helmet. The complainant stated that he didn't need one. At this point, the officer was not yelling at the complainant. The officer interview, he does state that the initial interaction regarding asking the complainant if he had his bike helmet. It is also evident by the body-worn camera footage at 13:05 hours, and that is 1 minute and 33 seconds into the body-worn camera footage, and from the officer's own statement that the bike chain appeared to have been already off the bike. The initial interaction between the complainant and officer progressed and became more confrontational. The body-worn camera footage shows that the officer stated he would fuck up the complainant. This was observed by multiple times during the interaction. At 3:08 hours, or 4 minutes and 55 seconds into the body camera footage, the target officer was heard saying, "You'll be holding my picket promise." Excuse me. No, that's not correct. He did say, "You're 100 pounds, bro. I will fuck you up royally." At 13:09, 6 minutes and 6 seconds into the body camera footage, target officer is observed pushing the complainant. Though the body-worn camera does not indicate the complainant fell as a result of the push, the bike, however, did fall to the ground. It was difficult to determine any damage to the bike was sustained because it did have some pre-existing damage prior to the interaction. The officer admits to pushing the gentleman and the complaint and the officer's interview. At 13:10 hours, 7 minutes into the body camera footage, the officer states, "It's on camera, you dumb fuck. It's rolling. You threatened me. You threatened to shoot me. Threatened to shoot me again. I'll fuck you up." The officer admitted in the interview that he stated to the complainant that he would fuck him up. After physical location between the officer and the complainant, body-worn camera footage does not indicate the complainant asked for any medical assistance. All right. I concur with OPS finding of unfounded for pushing the man into the vehicle. There's no body-worn evidence of that, but I concur with OPS finding of sustained for conduct standard. The officer used inappropriate language in his interaction with the complainant that was unprofessional and escalated rather than de-escalated the interaction. I also concur with the finding of improper use of force. The officer unnecessarily used force in the interaction with this complainant. But I do concur that the officer, it's unfounded with regards to not calling an ambulance. That was not evident on the footage. The officer was Police Officer Carroll. He lost 4 days and had some other related to the conduct of this charge. He has nothing else prior in a sheet as far as the sheet was, his personnel file was. This was actually the first incident, but it was a doozy. I move to uphold the findings of sustained for misconduct, charge of conduct standards, as well as sustained for charge of unnecessary use of force. But with regards to pushing improper use of a vehicle, which was pushing into the vehicle and not acquiescing to a request for an ambulance that wasn't there, I find unfounded. Any questions? Actually, is the complainant present? Present. Is there any other questions with regards to this complaint?
So there was disciplinary,
Yes, he received a loss of 4 days total for the infraction.
and how many charges did they find him guilty of?
Sustained on 2. That was the use of force and the conduct standard.
Okay.
Unnecessary use of force and the conduct standard.
Okay.
Any further questions? And again, it was the first, but it was significant. So, I make a motion, if you guys concur, for again for the sustained for use of force, sustained for conduct standard, but unfounded for improper vehicle use, and unfounded for not calling an ambulance when requested. Okay. Paul seconds. All in favor? All right. Thank you. Can I, so the next on docket is CC 2025004, and that is Ms. Sweck and Ms. Santos.
Okay, so this was received on June 16th of 2025, but the incident itself happened on 2/15, 2025 at 1:09 in the afternoon. I'm sorry? Louder, I'm sorry. The detective assigned, I always say his last name wrong, Tony. Adalian. It is Detective Adalian. And the complaint came in via online submission form. The location of the incident was North Pine Ave and State Street. The officers identified in the complaint is Officer J. Smith. The allegation is call handling. On February 15th of 2025, the complainant's car was towed from the area of North Pine and State Street. The complainant alleges that his car was towed in response to emergency no parking, and that he was not notified or given proper notice of this parking restriction. Thereby, he was not provided the opportunity to move his vehicle.
Okay. Excuse me,
Great.
I'm sorry, 1 second. We're having an issue with the video stream. I apologize.
Yeah.
Could we check to make sure?
Me too, yeah.
There's a
just-
settings issue and a technical issue with the system. So what is streaming via YouTube is just a blank screen that says Albany CPRB, but the audio is transmitting. I do not know how to fix the issue. The person that would be able to fix the issue is out ill today, so the issue cannot be resolved. However, the audio recording is being recorded and transmitted to the public via the live stream. All that's missing is the video of the space. So this screen that you see here on the monitor is not being displayed.
All right.
But the audio is there. I think it probably has something to do with us having to reconfigure the system for the emergency meeting 2 weeks ago. And we just weren't, I didn't know that it needed to be reconfigured. The person that sets up and helps me set up the technology in the room is out ill. I honestly don't know exactly what the problem is, but I have confirmed that the audio is transmitting.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We're up to our last,
We have 2 to go.
that was our council.
Yeah, that's my.
I was passing that on.
All right. Thank you. Is that the consensus?
Think so.
Is everyone okay with that? I'll just video it on.
Are we only on YouTube now, or is it Facebook too?
The live stream is only on YouTube. So Facebook was what y'all would live stream on when you were at the GLC. When she came into the city, the live stream and the ultimate posting of the video is on YouTube versus being Facebook for the live stream and then Vimeo for the recording itself.
Mm. So we don't know that, because the meeting we had was on 7/31, so there's been no meetings at all in the chamber since then. I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly.
Each individual board that meets within this chamber has to configure the system specific to that board. So I honestly cannot speak to exactly what the problem is. My suspicion is that the changes that had to be made to have the meeting downstairs needed to be redone to have it back up here, but I do not know. The person that would be here to assist me has been out ill today, so he's not able to assist. I had to call him on the phone to get the basic setup done. This is my only second meeting in this room trying to manage and handle the technology in this room. So I'm still learning the process as myself. I can, like I said, while there is no video picture on the stream on YouTube, there is audio. So people that are watching the meeting now can hear what's being said, and people that will watch it in the future can hear what's being said, which is the key component of the stream more so than the video itself.
And it's being recorded, right?
It's live stream, so it's auto recorded. So at the end of the meeting, it'll be preserved like it always is.
So going forward, are we, you know, deferring to you, what's the solution? Because we can't have this person, it's only one person who knows how to.
I'm still learning this process. What we've been doing is every meeting that we've been having in council chambers, I have been coming and learning the process through. It just happened to be that the person that I'm learning the process from is out ill today. So I had to do my best to get the meeting up and running.
Understood, and
So-
I just want to make a clarification for us, for people watching. And
Oh, no,
Okay.
no, I totally understand, Dr. Harden. This is just in my personal opinion about the technology equipment in this room is it's not it's not user friendly.
Mhm.
So it takes a lot for me to get to understand how to work it. But that was the process my process was going to be observing it being set up a couple of times and then doing it myself a couple of times and then hopefully being able to handle it all on my own. I just haven't had the opportunity to test it out. And unfortunately today, due to illness, we had a shortcoming.
Thank you for letting us know.
All right, we'll continue just because we're stuff in it. Yeah, Emily, I'm sorry about, again, are you
That's okay.
good?
No,
Do
that's
you want to
right.
start over? Are you good where you at?
I think I can pick up where I am as
Okay.
long as you guys are okay
All
with it.
right. All right,
Um,
and Garrett, you're all set?
So to summarize, the complainant believes that his vehicle was towed in relation to emergency no parking, and he was not notified or given proper notice of this of this parking restriction. Thereby, he was not provided the opportunity to move his vehicle. I reviewed the C-Click fix notifications, body worn camera footage, a license plate reader document, as well as correspondences of Officer J. Smith. And I found that the vehicle was not towed in regards to emergency no parking. The vehicle was towed for an expired registration. The registration expired on 11/12/2024. And expired inspection, which expired in July of 2023. The officer cites General Order 3.4.301B7 that reads vehicles may be towed from private or public property for an unregistered vehicle beyond 60 days of registration. So, in review of the evidence, there does exist a little bit of confusion in the documentation. The tow log does indicate that it was being towed for emergency no parking. However, all of the other evidence, including the officer removing his body worn camera and kind of affixing it to the general area of the inspection, as well as the registration, indicate that it was towed for expired registration and in an expired inspection. So OPS exonerated the findings of call handling, and I concur.
Is the complainant here? No. Any questions from the board regarding this?
So you said 60 days expired registration expiration. Did you say that they can also tow off of private property in that case?
That's what the general order, I'm sorry, the general order reads, vehicles can be towed from private or public property for unregistered vehicles beyond 60 days. I actually have an experience with that. A former neighbor was towed, the vehicle was on his property, and they towed his vehicle because there was an expired registration. So that is fact.
Um, Any other questions? All right. Making a motion to concur with the findings of exonerated. Chair Santos seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, Ms. Beck. Last but not least, Dr. Harden, it's CC 2025-012. And that's Detective Stiles' case.
Thank you, John. This complaint was received March 21st, 2025. The complainant was Titan Roofing. And the complaint alleges that while working at the psych center, several of their employees witnessed a police car using excessive speed down South Lake, around 60 to 80 miles per hour, stating this vehicle could have killed someone with this excessive speed, and requested that this matter be addressed. The videos were obtained and reviewed from the police car, and OPS was proactive in this case, where a supervisory inquiry was put in and the complaint was sustained. I did view the dash cam from that officer. I also was able to view the supervisory inquiry. The complainant agreed to withdraw the complaint based on the complaint going through supervisory inquiry, where this individual was found to be in violation of policy, therefore sustaining this complaint, and received a verbal warning. I concur with the investigation of OPS for these findings. Any question from the board? Pretty. Okay.
Is the complainant present? No. No further questions. Making a motion that we concur with the findings with regards, and that was, sorry,
Sustained.
For sustained, second. Actually, one quick question: is there yet to been charges with or consequences with the sustained?
Yes, so OPS issued a verbal counseling for this.
Okay. Second by Chair Santos. All in favor of concurring with? All right. That concludes our investigations for today. Thank you, everyone. It was a lot, but it went through pretty quick. Moving on to make a motion to move on to executive session. Oh, I'm sorry.
We're going to go into executive session for consideration of litigation matters.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, I'll second. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you very
Hey,
much.
hold on, guys. Hold on. You need a majority vote to go into executive session.
All in favor? I think we were unanimous, right?
He can't see.
Michael, it was unanimous to go to
Okay.
executive session.
I must have missed it. Sorry, I can't see you guys. So
Yep. No,
thank
we're
you.
good. We raised our hands. No worries.
Thanks.
All right.
You guys just let me know when you're ready. I can't see what's in the room, so just let me know when you're ready to start.
All right, I didn't have the microphone on either, so. All right, make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Second, Dr. V. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Motion to exit the executive session.
second.
Paul, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, Dr. V, all in favor? Unanimous? Thank you, guys.
Right.